There's so much false information on the internet, on YouTube, on social media when it comes to how to actually market a detail business. So I've been running my business for 2 years now. I've pretty much tried everything in the book. So what I did here is I did a list of about 14 or 15 methods to get clients for your detailing business. And what I'm going to be doing is ranking them from best to worst, so that you get a clear idea and hopefully it inspires some new ideas for you to go out and market your business. So let's jump right in. The first method is going to be door knocking. Door knocking is honestly a super solid method, and the best thing about it, it's completely free. What I also like about this method is that you instantly get to have an impact on the prospect. Usually when someone calls you up, an inbound lead calls you up on a phone from your website or an ad, all they have to gauge you as a person is how you talk over the phone. And of course, you could be respectful, super helpful, but it's completely different showing your face in person. And like I said, it's free. So honestly, I would rank this pretty high. It's great for people to get started. Yeah, it is a little sucky having to go and knock on people's doors, bother them during the day when they're trying to relax, but it's free and you get an instant return. Second is going to be handing out flyers. So what are the expenses that are involved? It's really only the flyers themselves. There's not really much could go wrong with creating a flyer. It's pretty simple. You just list your prices, your services, make it look nice. It's super easy. You could do it on Canva and probably order close to 1,000 flyers for around $100. The only problem I could see with this method is that you're limited to your time and you're not going to get the best output, because really the only place that you can take these flyers is either in public. You can leave them on people's cars. There's no way to tell if these people are going to be interested in a detail. So what happens most often, from my experience, is people get the flyer straight in the trash. It's a good way to get your name out there, to bring up some opportunities to speak to people. Maybe if you see them in public with a nice car, it's a good foot in the door, but there's not too much leverage with it, unfortunately. So I'll be ranking this one pretty low. Again, it's great starting out if you don't have too much money, but there are much better things you could be doing. Now, the next method is going to be leaving your business cards in local auto shops. So this is going to be places like mechanics, paint shops, body shops, maybe even wrap shops or tint shops. Honestly, this is one of my favorite methods by far, because when you're referred to by a trusted business, it means a whole lot more than approaching someone in public for the first time, because you're instantly going to be backed by the business's word. And if a solid, reputable business is representing you and your business and recommending you to their clients, obviously they have to back that. So the client is going to automatically assume that you're a quality, solid service. So this is super great. I'd put it at the top. Honestly, it takes no money to start. You could literally go to Staples today, make hundreds of cards for like less than 20 bucks. So huge amount of leverage. You can leave a stack of literally hundreds of cards in these businesses, so you don't have to replenish them for months on end. And a lot of the times what would happen when I'd go into these businesses, I would end up walking out with a detail booked from either an employee or a business owner themselves on the spot. This is a great way to get your foot in the door, create a ton of opportunity, and it's huge leverage as well for pretty much. So if you haven't done this yet, I'd 100% recommend. All right, moving on to the next method, sponsoring car events. This is super solid. This is where you're gonna find your highest end clientele, especially if you're going into like luxury supercar, car meets, stuff like that. The only thing that may be an issue is that there could be some pretty heavy fees to actually be a sponsor, especially if it's a nice, well-known car meet. They're going to be charging a hefty amount, and you don't want to show up to these events when you're too early on, because people are going to expect these sponsors to be super professional, well established, and great quality. Not saying you aren't early on, but it's kind of hard to give off that look when you don't have much. Maybe you don't have a van yet, maybe you can't afford setups like a canopy, custom tent, stuff like that. That stuff gets pretty pricey, and I honestly wouldn't recommend sponsoring sponsoring an event like this yet. Maybe you could go out just to one as a non-sponsor, just walk around and pass out business cards. But if you're in the financial and size position, again, you're going to be limited to the people that are at this event, of course, but it could create some huge opportunity for you. And like I said, get you those high-end clients, supercar clients, the ones that you really want to be doing. So I put this up towards the top. Next, we're going to have social media / content creation. I'm pretty much going to round this all into one: Instagram, Facebook, maybe YouTube, TikTok, if you're doing those as well. This is pretty much the go-to marketing strategy people think of course, a lot of us as well, because we're younger. That's the first thing we think about when it comes to marketing for your business. The only problem I have when it comes to marketing on social media is just how broad it is. I kind of think about it in the way like you're shooting shots in the dark, hoping that either a post goes viral and it's just so damn big that people have to see your video in your market, or the chances of someone in your local market stumbling across your page and being in the need of a detail. You need to have both. One, you need to have eyes on it from local individuals, and two, they need to be in the market for a detail, which is of course accomplishable, but the percentages of this lining up is much lower. But should you do this anyways? Yes, absolutely, because one, it's free, it doesn't take too much time, you just whip out your phone, film as you're working. It's too easy to not be doing it. And the thing why it's so helpful and why I recommend every single person to make content is because of how much it will actually help you when you get to the point where you could afford and run ads. And that's that the detailers with the highest quality content and the most content on their pages tend to do the best with ads. What ends up happening is people will see your ad and they might find some interest, and then they'll actually go and click on your profile to see if you're a solid business or just a scammer online, or maybe a subcontractor. So when people are able to go onto your profile, see quality work, see the work that you put into these vehicles, but just this method as is, completely organic without ads, I would put it at B, right in the middle. I'd say it's definitely a necessity, but I don't think it's going to give you the best return for the time you put in. So posting in Facebook groups, again, another completely free method. Anyone can do it in any market. And honestly, I don't see a reason why not every single person watching this video shouldn't be doing this right now. There are so many groups, even in small local markets. Of course, bigger markets have literally thousands of groups, but so do the smaller markets. There's plenty of opportunity in this space to make a huge name for yourself and get a ton of clients. So I'm gonna be ranking this one at the top. All right, moving on, we got Yelp ads. If any of you guys have ran Yelp ads before or have posted on Yelp and got leads from Yelp, you know why this is gonna be going dead last. The quality from these leads are absolutely garbage. It's just people looking for the best deal. All they want is a clean car for the cheapest price possible. And not only that, when you run ads on Yelp, you actually have to pay for the lead. So you can't even contact them directly with their number, email, etc. All you get is their name and the ability to message them through the Yelp app. Not ideal at all when it comes to trying to make sales with your detailing business. Yelp is trash. Don't use it. Don't invest time into it. Only thing I would do is create a Yelp page that links back to your website, because that's going to help boost your SEO. Other than that, Yelp is garbage. Don't use it. Don't waste your time. Nextdoor, in my experience, is honestly kind of in the same boat as Yelp. I get a lot of people just looking for the cheapest deal. No one is super serious about actually using the service or paying a premium for it. I have heard of some people doing really well, but I have heard of some other people doing really well with Nextdoor, getting a ton of quality leads and a ton of business. That's something I haven't seen personally. From my experience, I've been posting it in Nextdoor for close to a year and a half now, and I've booked probably less than 10 jobs total. I think this is really going to depend on the groups and the market you're in. In some cities, it's bigger than others, so you'll probably see a better return if you're in a really large city. We're gonna rank it towards the bottom just because of my personal experience. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try it, because of course you can post for free organically in Nextdoor. They do have the option for ads as well, which I have tried and haven't seen any return on. Here's another one that I've done a ton of. In the beginning, I probably printed close to 2,000 door hangers, went to the nicest areas in my city, and this is by far the worst return I've ever seen on a time investment. I spent hours and hours with me and my friend going out, leaving door hangers. I literally got one job out of those 2,000 door hangers. I feel like it wouldn't be that different in other cities, so I'm gonna put that last as well. Next, we got local influencer shoutouts. So there's two ways you could go about this. Either you could just message people on social media, ask them straight up how much they charge for a shout out, or you could go the route where you offer them a free detail in return for a shout out. I've done this with a couple people. Honestly, it wasn't bad. I offered them a free detail, say, hey, let me come out, do your car, and you could post on social media for us. Again, I live in kind of a smaller city, nothing compared to the cities like Dallas, LA, Miami, places like that, where influencing is much, much bigger. So I think this has the potential to do very well in big cities where the influencer space is much bigger. The only thing I would look out for is make sure that the influencer matches your target audience. So you don't want to pay an influencer. You don't want to do an influencer who has a following made up of 15 to 18-year-old kids, right? You want to do an influencer who has a majority older population. So I think there's really one type of influencer that you want to look out for the most. And those are going to be the Instagram moms, the moms who are posting content about being a mother, raising children, their household, stuff like that, because they're going to have a much older audience. And of course, they're going to be trusted. If you can get in the door with a free detail, all it's going to take is your time, and you have huge leverage if these people have a good following. Actually, I might move that up a little bit because honestly, it's a pretty solid method. Alrighty, and then we got HOA newsletters. This is honestly one of my favorite methods to get clients. Again, it all comes down to trust again. It's not the people trusting you directly, but they're going through another trusted established source. If people are getting letters from their HOA directly, their mindset behind it is they're not gonna put a trash business in this newsletter to market to the people. Usually it's not much at all. I know the ones that I have done have on average been around $50 a month. This is just a no-brainer. You might as well do this because it doesn't take too much time or money, and there's huge opportunity with this. You wanna stick to the upper middle class to upper class communities. Obviously, you're going to get the most serious clients with the nicest cars who are also going to be interested in those protection packages, ceramic coatings, waxes, etc., stuff like that. Super solid method, super cheap, super easy to get started. Definitely recommend. Moving on, we got Google My Business. If you guys don't already have this set up, you need to set it up ASAP. Google is 100% the storefront of service-based businesses. If you're not on Google, you're pretty much invisible to your prospects. It's the first place people are going to go when they're in need of a detail. So this is going to be at the top. No doubt. This is something that you could set up for free and it compounds over time. And the main thing you want to focus on with your Google My Business is getting reviews from each and every client that you service. And these are by far going to be the most serious buyers, because if someone is actively searching for detailing services on Google, they've already made the buying decision. Now it's just a matter of which business shows up first and who is the most helpful when it comes to answering questions. So prioritize ranking high, getting reviews, optimizing your Google My Business, and then 2, being the most helpful and responsive person that they reach out to. The amount of times I've had people call me up and say, wow, no way, you actually answer the phone. I've called 4 people and I can't even get a hold of anyone, which is just crazy to me how business owners out there can't even answer the phone. So if you could be that guy, answer the phone and be as helpful as possible with the right packages, you're gonna win. Now here's a method that I really haven't seen anyone talk about at all. And this is one of my favorite methods for that reason. There's hardly any competition when it comes to this. It's approaching offices. And what that means is you would approach local office buildings in your area, speak to some type of manager, and offer lunch break details. This is something that no one is doing, and a ton of people are going to be interested in it because it's a thought that's never crossed their mind. Like, no way, I could get my car detailed while I'm here sitting at work. There's a ton of potential with this. If you're in a big city, there's pretty much infinite office buildings. Again, it's just one of those things that's a no-brainer. Costs no money and not too much time at all. And this is something you could even call around for. Again, there's leverage with that, not having to actually be there to secure these types of jobs. You could just call them up nonstop. So I'm gonna put that at the top as well. Last, we have building a website. I know this is super broad. This kind of ties into the Google My Business, having a presence on Google. Google, this is pretty much going to help with that. The whole point of a website is, of course, yes, to book, show your services, give info, but the main point is ranking purposes. So if you have a solid website that ranks well on Google, you're going to crush it, no doubt. The only problem with a website is, one, it can be pricey, super time consuming if you're doing it on your own. It's really just a trial and error process when it comes to building and ranking with a website, but it's an absolute necessity. Everyone needs to have it if you want to win in detailing. So for me, it has to go at the top. And there you have it. Here's going to be my list for 14 methods to get clients in your business. Here at the top are the ones that you should be focusing on right now. Some of them are free, some of them are going to cost you, but I think these are the essentials right here. And then when it comes to the rest, C and B, these are also going to be great. Pretty much all free methods except for sponsoring events. Honestly, A to S, I would avoid it. You might as well skip past the point where you're going through the non-leverage activities and skip straight to the activities that are going to get you the best return, because there's so many free methods out there. So I hope this list and my breakdown gave you a great idea and maybe helped you come up with some new methods to get business in your market. And my goal with this is to help as many detailers as possible. If you have any questions, all you got to do is message me on Instagram, DK Mobile Wash, and I'd be more than happy to help any of you guys out there who are struggling. And also message me video ideas that you guys would like to see on this account as well.